Hello, and thank you for joining us for this webisode on bullying, specifically signs that your child is being bullied. This is part of a webisode series that is being sponsored by Mission Healthy Living. Joining me today is Lorraine Henry, and Lorraine Henry is a licensed clinical professional counselor with Creative Health Services. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, it's such an important topic, so we're really glad to have your expertise on this.
Thank you.
Getting right into it, no parent wants to find out that their child is being bullied. I think very distressing. But unfortunately, many parents probably aren't even aware that this kind of bullying is even going on. They know something's wrong with their child, but they don't quite know what it is. Can you give us some warning signs or behaviors that parents can observe that might kind of tip them off that their child may be a victim of bullying?
Yes, there's a whole host of things that a parent can look for. First of all, there may be some physical bullying. So if your child is coming home with bruises, ripped clothes, skinned knees, that's a possibility that bullying has raised to the physical level. However, there are other signs as well. A child may be missing prized possessions, their lunch money, their lunch. They say that they're losing things. In addition, they may be losing sleep, they may be depressed, they may be avoiding places that they love to go, they may be refusing to go to school.
Wow.
So it could be any number of things, any number of things.
And specifically, you know your child's not right.
Exactly, that's it. The guardian knows the child better than anybody, and if you start to see some things that are not typical, you can begin to suspect some kind of bullying
is going on. Are there certain types of children who may be more at risk to this type of, they're susceptible to being bullied?
I think so, and there have been a lot of studies done, so there is a lot of information out there. Typically, the child who's bullied is a child who's very quiet and maybe a little passive.
Okay.
Sometimes the child is a loner. Sometimes the child has some kind of identifying characteristic that sets them apart from the other children. So that's typically. But we haven't touched on cyberbullying.
Right.
And cyberbullying is a completely different animal. So sometimes the children who are cyberbullied don't fit that description at all.
Okay.
They could be the most popular children. They could be the most attractive or the most athletic. They could have high self-esteem. And the idea behind cyberbullying is to knock that child down a notch.
Okay.
So
Somebody's jealous of them, somebody doesn't like
Exactly.
that they're on top, and they're going to undermine how they feel about themselves.
Exactly. So you can't make any assumptions whatsoever
And
about
that's what's
bullying.
so wicked about cyberbullying, in my opinion.
Yes.
Because like you were saying, physical bullying, you can literally see maybe some signs, but
Exactly.
the cyberbullying is kind of mental.
It is. It's a completely different animal. And almost every child has access to social networking. So the statistics are just absolutely incredible. Of those children, about 50% of them are bullied.
Wow. 50%.
It's very, very high.
Wow. That's astounding, actually.
Yes.
And I think, too, as we're talking about wanting to notice these signs, begs the question, why are they keeping it from their parents? Why do children not want to talk to their parents about it? What is behind that?
There are a lot of reasons for that. One is that the child may be terribly, terribly embarrassed. And an example comes to mind of a little girl I worked with years ago who was being bullied, actually in school, which is nothing against the school, but the parent didn't even become aware of the circumstance until the mother received a note in the mail saying the child had been to the nurse 22 times.
Wow.
And the mother was completely taken aback. So when she spoke with her child, she found out that her 5th grade daughter was being sexually harassed by a little boy in the classroom. And that was heartbreaking to the mother,
Sure.
but the little girl didn't feel comfortable talking about it because her body was changing, and she didn't feel comfortable with the changes in her body,
Wow.
which is so typical
Sure.
of that age. Once it came to the surface, the little boy was able to get some help, and the little girl's self-esteem was intact, and she got the help that she needed. So it had a positive outcome.
Good. But I think, too, bullies threaten. You
Absolutely.
just never know, so there's probably just a number.
So embarrassment, the fear, just the threat. Typically, as we said before, if it's not cyberbullying, the child is a little more passive in how they handle things. So sometimes what they feel is best is the path of least resistance. It's easier to take the bullying than the threat that things may intensify later. It's easier to take the F in gym class than to go into the locker room and be teased about your body or your scar or whatever it is.
Yep.
So sometimes grades will suffer, simply not just because the child is depressed, but because the child is fearful and wants to take the path of least resistance. So, okay, you suspect this, you've listened, looked at the warning signs. How do you ask your child, what questions should you ask them, or how do you go about it without frightening them, pulling them deeper into their hole? There are a couple things. First, I think what the guardian or parent needs to do is set a stage of safety so that the child feels safe. And again, the guardian knows the child better than anybody. So that might mean having a favorite dinner, having a very relaxed situation at home, and then bringing up the topic. A parent can handle this very directly, although a lot of times children don't respond to directness.
Right.
And sometimes it's because they don't really understand. If you say, "Are you being bullied at school?" No. I mean, they don't really understand what bullying is. On the other hand, you can be very indirect. What's the best part of school? Who do you sit with on the bus? What is it like at lunch? Who do you play with at recess? Those kinds of things.
Probing questions that kind of go in the back door.
Absolutely, and they would be more open-ended.
Okay.
More of the open-ended question than the closed question, which would get a yes or no response.
Thank you for joining us. To see other episodes on bullying in this series, please go to www.missionhealthyliving.org.